And again, our hearts in this is to want to help those who are being maybe led, who are at the beginning stages of considering this, joining this church. Maybe you're in the church. I hope you will listen to this dialogue and know that there are some severe issues theologically, biblically, with what the Church of God teaches. So Jesse, you probably know where I'm going, right?
Yeah, 2:16. Yeah, so this is Paul talking to these guys, and he's saying, "Therefore, let no one pass judgment on you in questions of food and drink, or with regard to a festival, or a new moon, or a Sabbath. These are a shadow of the things to come, but the substance belongs to Christ." So it's just very clear. It's as we've been saying that these festivals, the Passover, this was all a foreshadow of the Messiah, of God coming in, completing this thing that we can't do. So then now Paul's telling these people, hey, don't let anybody judge you to these things that they were doing in the Old Testament, the new moon stuff and the Sabbath and all this. Don't let them judge you, because Christ is the substance. And I to touch on this, with our last conversation we had with these guys, there is a level where you have to understand when you're talking to these guys of either deception, or they just don't want to give it up. And because we had read this a couple times, and then we had heard the guy said, "You have not shown me one scripture that says not to honor the Sabbath, or I don't have to." And we had said, well, Colossians 2:16, and he said that's not what that means. And that was the end of it. So yeah, this is where it can get hard with them, and you need to pray, and you still need to share truth, but you need to. It was interesting for me to see that level of deception when it's so clearly Paul's like, don't let anybody judge you, because that was a foreshadow. Christ, he's the substance.
Yep. So that pretty much sums it up. Where we see this church saying the gospel equals keeping festivals and honoring the festivals, and in order to gain forgiveness and to get full salvation, you have to keep the festivals. And then Paul's saying, don't let anybody judge you for keeping the festivals or not keeping the festivals. So you can, as a Christian, we have the freedom. If you want to keep the festivals and remember and acknowledge the spiritual application in doing that, like, you have total freedom. We all do. But as far as somebody coming and saying you must do this or you cannot be forgiven, that's exactly what Paul is writing toward here in Colossians and Galatians and other places. And so that's a place where you need to walk away from that very quickly.
And even, I would think, make that known to them, actually. I think that would be wise, to not get argumentative. You love them in gentleness and say, hey, I feel like this is very clear, and I'm not the one having to make up crazy sleight of hand arguments. It's on your side. And just challenge them. Just say, I challenge you to read this on your own, and really say, is that what that's saying?
Definitely, yeah. So the Church of God equals do things plus Jesus. The gospel is Jesus, receive him because he's enough.